Building a sales infrastructure for your everyday consumer versus your B2B buyer, whether you're selling ridiculously high-ticketed items or low-priced everyday goods.
And today we have a guest that built a business that involves selling to both of these avenues, and it's going to share some of the tools and strategies to help you grow your business.
Coming right up.
Let's go.
Boom. What's up, everyone? Sean Azari here. I'm with Matt Skopak.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to Deep Dive, episode 32, where we usually take businesses and dive into the marketing strategies. However, today we have a special guest, Desi Saran, the founder and CEO of Sweetberry Bowls. Desi, why don't you give a little pitch of who you are and what you have done in the last few years?
Sure, thank you. So my name is Desi Saran. I'm the founder and CEO of Sweetberry. We're a healthy, fast casual chain. We specialize in acai bowls, poke bowls, wraps, smoothies, and salads, all healthy and good stuff. And our business model is opening corporate stores and now mainly franchising across the United States.
So when I think of franchises, I'm thinking about highly ticketed items, right? Mm-hmm. And when you're selling at a franchise, they value around, $100,000 a unit, right? So that's a completely different consumer, right? You got an advertising strategy in order to get that sell is completely different versus your everyday consumer buying bowls, poke bowls, salads that come to your store every day. You have two completely strategies in place, correct?
Correct.
Right. And with these strategies, I believe that you guys could take as an e-commerce builder that a lot of these strategies that he's built, these landing pages, the SMS strategies that you build to drive sales to your loyalty platform and so forth. I definitely want you to talk about these points. And then we're just going right into the questions.
Right into the questions. I mean, we're moving now into a new era of where a lot less is done by humans and a lot more is done with computers or responses prior to meeting with a salesperson. So I think Desi is going to give us a great opportunity in both areas, how he built the processes from the ground up, and then that can help you build your own company kind of funnel.
Yeah, so Desi, so question number one, talk about your sales funnel to bring in franchises. So these are people that had to spend $100,000 plus to build up a unit.
It's serious money. So how do you go about that?
Yeah, so when we sell a franchise unit, it's a typical restaurant model where somebody's interested in our brand. They want to own and operate a Sweetberry under our brand name, sell our products. We sell a franchise territory for $35,000, which is the normal market rate. And then that franchisee is responsible for building their own restaurant or store. And that can range anywhere between $100,000 to $200,000 on top.
So $30,000 just for the cost of becoming a franchisee. So that's okay. And then more like $100,000 to build out the store. So we're talking about $130,000.
Yeah, we tell people it's about $150,000 to $200,000 liquid that you need to build out the store. So it's a huge investment.
So talk about your strategy. How do you get people to buy? Like, how do you tell that story? How do you get cold prospects to actually,
Yeah, it's a good question. So, I always tell people it's kind of like buying a house. It's a big life-changing decision to buy a business. You're essentially buying yourself a business and doing a life change where you become a franchisee, you own and operate a restaurant. It's very, very, very rare. I always tell people, I think the industry benchmark is about 1% of all leads that come in may convert into an actual franchisee. It might be even less. It's small. So, I mean, if you think about it, if you're generating like 100 leads, which may cost you a decent amount of money, you're only going to convert one of them.
So if a lead came in, tell me how basically it would come through your funnel, or where did you get your leads from? And then that lead comes in, and what processes did you put in place?
Talk about top funnel. Like, how did you get the word out there, and what worked and what hasn't, right? And your whole strategy. Talk about the breakdown.
Okay. I think the first thing that we want to always talk about is who is the demographic, right? Yeah. And in the beginning, if you recall, that when we were marketing, we were just marketing to kind of anybody on Facebook and social media. And what happens is a lot of people start signing up. We had a landing page on Facebook through Facebook marketing, right? You can do a sign up page. The nice thing about Facebook is when they click apply now or sign up, their name, email, phone number is automatically populated through Facebook. So for anybody that's running ads at home, that's a really, really good method to do it, where there's no friction. The customer doesn't have to type in, and there's not going to be any errors, right? The bad way about the way we were targeting that way was that we were just kind of generating leads, and a lot of it was people that didn't even actually know what franchising was. And as we kept marketing, we kept getting
So you used a Facebook lead form to generate leads. Now, what was the creative that got people excited about Sweetberry, which they didn't know what Sweetberry was? Yeah. So how did people know? How did you tell that story?
Yeah, so our best creative was a video that we ran. I think we interviewed our franchise sales guy, Anthony Spagnola. He did a good job of kind of like narrating what Sweetberry is. That was a quick 1 to 2 minute video.
He's a business owner too, wasn't he?
Yeah. He's also one of the partners in our business. And that video probably generated hundreds of thousands of impressions.
And why do you think that? Why would that video do that? Was it more of like you giving the experience of what Sweetberry is as a franchise owner, or how they would feel, or perhaps what was some of the intake? And I know you told me in the past, maybe I was a little cut you off, like you had the actual VP, the franchise VP, right? He was also a franchise owner. Yeah. And he was the guy picking up the phone, calling these guys every time something for a lead, and people got excited, like, "Oh, you're the guy from the video."
Yep. So Anthony, usually when you sell a franchise, right? If you're going to buy a McDonald's franchise or a big name franchise, you'll get connected with their franchise sales guy. Mm-hmm. That guy will sell you on that company, whether it's McDonald's or whatever brand. Generally, that franchise sales guy has never operated a McDonald's or whatever company. Mm-hmm. Our sales guy, Anthony Spagnola, is very unique in that he owned and operated 2 stores in Jersey City. So it was really cool because he knew the business inside out. It's very, very rare in the franchise industry. So, him having that role and then being the person to contact these leads and actually talk about his personal experience was really, really crucial. And then him being in the video, talking about his experience owning and operating and why you should be a franchisee. I think it was, it was very authentic and people could see that.
I think it's important to point out here when you're selling high ticketed items like this, right? You need people to, you don't want to use those, what is it, like people that you get on Fiverr. That
they need to believe in the person.
You need to believe in the person, and putting someone that's actually in the everyday, like he's in the behind the scenes, he's doing the work, right? That's actually telling the story. That's a more authentic route, and I think that's where the future is going, right? Yep. People like your customer service today, that you don't want just some, Joe Schmo out there that you're hiring, just freelancing. You want someone that's actually part of the brand.
It's almost like Warby Parker using the videos, and they send the videos now to customers of the customer service, like explaining the answer, putting a face to a name and things like that. Were there any other types of lead sources that worked or didn't work? I mean, did you ever buy leads, or were anything that could come to your mind as like the next one up?
Yeah, we've done, for franchising in general, we've done all of the above. We get organic leads through email. So people email us through, franchise@sweetberrybowls.com, info. They text message us. People call in. They leave their information in our retail stores. So we call those organic leads. Yep. Those are generally pretty good. If we're going out there marketing and generating Facebook leads and social media, we'll generate a ton of them, right? But they may not be the best quality. Yeah. When you buy leads from a franchise broker or one of these companies that sells franchise leads, it could be expensive. I mean, you're talking on average $50 a pop, right?
$50 a lead.
Yeah, that's probably $50 to $100.
A lead.
Yeah. Wow. But those leads are qualified. So those leads have probably gone through that particular company's funnel and system and qualified them. And that lead is, they probably have a net worth of $300,000. They are interested in a restaurant, right? So you're getting like a batch of 100 leads, which could cost you a lot of money, let's say $5,000, but you can get like 2 deals out of it, and they're highly qualified.
Now, I've heard there's a lot of sites out there now, let's just even outside franchises, you could buy leads through these sources, I believe, right? I don't know what they are, but I'm sure there's tons of them.
Yeah, you got to be careful. So if you're ever gonna buy leads, you want to make sure that they're from credible sources.
And how do you check that, or what's the best way?
If you're in franchising, just go after the most credible organizations. There's ifpg.org. We've dealt with those guys. There's a lot of these different types of companies. So
talk about the setup. You buy leads, because I know if you get leads, you could import them in Facebook and start retargeting or creating audiences based on lookalike audiences based on that. So you buy leads. What do you do afterwards? Do you email them manually a day? Do you put them into a system? Is there like a systematic?
Yeah, so when leads come in through Facebook, or if we're buying leads, we're going to put them into our CRM.
What's CRM?
A CRM is a customer relationship manager. Any type of sales team should have that. If you're selling a high ticket item and you need a sales,
which one do you use?
We use Pipedrive right now.
Okay.
We used to use Hubspot. Salesforce is a really good one. There's a lot of them out there. And you know, any type of salesperson should have a CRM to send emails, to contact them, and to log your calls of what that conversation was about. So when a lead comes into the system, it goes into the CRM. They get an email and a text message right away to set up an appointment.
So you set that up, and you did that all through Pipedrive.
Yeah, you could do it through any type of CRM. In the beginning, we used Hubspot. Now it's Pipedrive. So right now, what happens is if you
How much is that?
Pipedrive is $30 a month.
$30 a month, and you could set up as many campaigns. I guess a lead comes in, you set up.
Yeah, it's about $30 a month per user, and it's pretty intuitive. And you can set up a pop-up form on your website, apply for whatever it is you want to buy. You put in your name, email, phone number, and then when that customer does that, it goes into the CRM. It notifies the salesperson, so it can notify me by email, text messages. Hey, new lead just came in, and then I can set it up where the system automatically texts or emails that customer. And what our first goal is to set up that first phone call. We call it a discovery call.
So how do you get that first phone call? Is there what's the average? Do you send automated, 2 emails, 1 email? What is your?
Yeah, so as soon as the lead comes in, they're going to get a text message and an email to set up a calendar invite, right? So they pick a time on when they want to set up that discovery call.
Yeah.
So that's the first part of our funnel, is setting that up and getting that person on the phone. If you don't get them on the phone, there's not going to be a sale, right? So remind you guys that, when you're selling a franchise, it's a big investment. This is a 6 to 9 to even 12-month sales cycle, right? So it goes from getting them on the phone to that discovery call. The next step of the funnel is eventually getting them to the store, which we call discovery day. Some of these franchisees are calling from out of state, so they have to travel. So we have to set up a time where they meet myself or Anthony Spagnola, and they get a tour of the entire restaurant and business, okay? Then after discovery day, there's a lot of paperwork with the franchise industry. We have what's called an FDD, a franchise disclosure document. It's a 150-page document, which we send to the franchisee, and they just have to sign a receipt that they've received it. It's not a binding contract, right? So these are all different steps of our funnel. It's probably about 6 steps, which, again, that can take over 6 to 12 months to do. The last part is getting them to sign the deal. We send a franchise agreement, which is another.
Is it automated, all this again?
Some of it's automated. Okay, so the first parts of when the lead comes into the system and they're getting those first emails and text messages, that's automated, right? So if they don't pick up, if they don't set up a time to meet, and let's say Anthony does not reach out to them or does not get in contact, the system will automatically email and text them 2 days later, 3 days later.
Yeah.
What does the text involve?
Probably just says, hey, just a reminder, please set up your meeting, something like that.
And what if they didn't, or perhaps do you? I mean, I'm curious because if these are very warm leads, do you send them case studies? Do you send them stories about other franchise success franchise?
Yeah, so those are really good questions. So that content we put in emails too. Mind you, with an SMS, you're very limited to the amount of characters. Everybody at home knows when you text somebody, you can only do a certain amount. So when we're texting, we're trying to get brief and to the point. SMS is very, very effective because the open rates are extremely high, probably 80 to 90%. So if a lead comes in same day, that person just signed up to potentially see what the Sweetberry franchise is about. That lead's hot, right? So if we're texting them right away, hey, got your information, set up a time to chat. Click on this link and pick a time on the calendar. It's really effective, right? They'll set up a time for maybe tomorrow or the day after to speak.
You have a video underneath, something like, check out our franchise in West Virginia and listen to his story.
We have videos and content too. No, I mean, generally, we use the call to action. I always tell people whether you're selling, whatever you're selling, I don't like to distract people. So if they've already filled out their information, they're already interested. They put their name, their email, they gave us permission to market to them. So for that first point of contact, the first text or email, I don't want to overdo it and give them, a deck or more videos to look at. I just want to get them on the phone. That is the call to action. So it's set up a time to meet, and the email simultaneously that they're getting is, hey, thanks for signing up, set up a time to meet, right? If they set up a time to meet, we put them into the next stage of the funnel, which is that discovery call. If they didn't, then they're going to start getting automated emails with content on, look at what our previous franchisees are doing. Here's more information on the company.
Yeah.
So that's continuing to educate them along the way until we get them on the phone.
Yeah. And it seems common, I think, especially with a lot of big purchases, that you can automate, and I see a lot of companies automating the initial stages of getting the leads, responding, setting up calls. But however, with big, unit purchases, higher price things like franchises, you need to get them to a salesperson, and then from that point on, it kind of takes over.
Right.
For the most part, I would say.
And talk about some of the tools that you recommend, because I know maybe you're not forgotten, and I think this is very important, but there's tools out there that you actually shown me that they viewed a document that you sent them, right? And they looked at X amount of pages, and by knowing that, you know how interested they are. Like, what tools maybe you could suggest, because that's when you know it's like a hot lead versus someone that didn't open up a document. What are those scenarios like, and how do you implement those strategies?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for those of you at home, that's called it's basically multi-channel marketing, right? So you're seeing what the customer is doing, from emails to if they're going on your website, if they're responding to your text messages, if they're responding to your emails. You know, if you have a limited budget, those tools are going to become a little bit more expensive. I recommend people at home, a free tool is MailChimp. It's great. You can set up your CRM, your email marketing.
Can you see the activity there on your site?
I think so now, because they have a landing page builder, which is cool. So it's like an all-in-one tool. So if you're selling something like a service and all you need is a one-page landing page, on that landing page is going to be the sign-up form. And when they fill it out, it's going to notify you, and it will start auto-emailing it. Pretty sure that MailChimp allows you to see if the user logged onto the website too, which is important. A tool that we used to use in the past is Hubspot. It's a really, really, really high-level tool, probably better suited for B2B businesses and more mature businesses. I think we onboarded it a little too early on, because I would recommend a company, if you had somebody to put on that tool and utilize that tool full time, that's when I think it works really well. But what it did, its capabilities, was we were able to set up our sequences and our flows and see when the leads came back onto our website, and we would know that they're interested. So for example, let's say, Joe Smith from Arizona signed up to be a franchisee. We never got in touch with them. That lead went dead, 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
What a lot of sales reps do is, like, they don't tap into that previous pile of leads. I mean, those leads can still be active, right?
Yeah.
So the system would tell us if Joe Smith from 3 months ago all of a sudden logged onto the Sweetberry website and he viewed a video.
Oh, so you see that, so that
Yeah.
it feels okay.
So now it notifies us.
Do you have like an action, like, okay, viewed page, right, in X amount of days, send an email?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why you pay the big bucks for a system like HubSpot, so you can set up parameters. Like, if a customer, there was no activity for 90 days and they're a dead lead, and all of a sudden they looked at our website, you can set up an automation like, hey, here's an email, here's a text. Are you still interested?
This goes back to when you go to e-commerce, Clavia, we talk about, right? Browse abandonment, right? When you go to
Exactly.
visit a product, you leave the site. Hey, we saw you checking us out. Very similar process.
I think one main question to finish up this franchise thing is, I bet you there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are saying, hey, I can grow my business if only I had a salesperson, or something like that along those lines. So from your experiencing now, being in this business, having a salesperson, do you think it's more worthwhile to spend your money on maybe some building out a funnel and automated platform and maybe handling the first couple sales yourself? Or is it worth the deep spend for giving a salesperson? I don't know if there's a salary or they're usually paid on commission, but I guess you've been there now. What would you recommend to someone just starting a business? Which kind of route should they go down?
I guess it depends on the industry, but at first you need to do the sales yourself. If it's your business, you're the entrepreneur, you need to understand every part of the sales cycle. So I've done all the sales with Anthony. Anthony handles it more on his own now, but I'm always involved in the sale. But from the beginning, I did every single part of the process with him.
Nice.
So we want to understand who our franchisee is, who is our ideal franchisee, and we're only going to know by talking to all these potential leads. Yeah. And then we start weeding it out and segmenting and saying, hey, the guys that are coming in and saying, they have the money, but they don't want to become a restaurant operator, they're probably not a great fit. What we look for is a franchisee that wants to come in and ideally has had franchise experience. They've owned a franchise before. It's very rare. Mm-hmm. Or they've operated their own restaurant before too. Also very rare, right? If you get both, this person's probably going to be, and I'll give you a good example. We just sold a franchise unit to a gentleman who was a Cold Stone operator.
Huh.
And that deal cycle took 12 months. And it probably would have closed a lot sooner, but COVID hit last year. We started it probably in January. COVID hit in March. Everything went kind of stagnant for 3 to 4 months. And then we finally closed the deal January 1st. So it was like a solid 12 months. Yeah. But we knew that he was going to be a great operator because he did 8 years with Cold Stone. He knows the system.
Well, the story or your selling points, your elevator pitch with that customer is completely different because he's so experienced versus someone who has no experience. You're still selling to them, but if they're really passionate about it, it's a complete different scenario. So these are, again, when segmenting your audience, really understanding your audience, it's really how you're telling that story versus someone that has no idea but really excited about it.
See, that's a good point because he's a more advanced and experienced operator. We typically don't get operators that have had almost a decade of experience.
Yeah.
So that's a different sale. And think about it. He had a Cold Stone business for a decade. They're a really mature business. We're not a mature business. We're going into our 4th year. So that sale, that dynamic was like, hey, you've done Cold Stone for 10 years. They're a mature business. Take a risk with a brand new healthy fast casual brand that's only been around for 3 years. And that was what we had to sell to him.
Yeah. I think a key takeaway from all this is, especially the thing I gotten at, is as an entrepreneur, you need to be highly involved in the sales process, at least in the beginning, so you can understand it, learn your demographic, and then help and train the salesperson if that's the road that you want to go down.
Just before we get to your everyday consumer items, if you had an inventory of 100 units that you bought at your cost for you was about $500 and you're selling for $2K, what would be the steps that you would take today, right, to sell those products? Let's say it's a product that you need to sell for $2,500. You bought it for $500. What would you take? And you had minimal investment. You basically had, let's say, $500 in your bank account.
Do I need a salesperson for it?
No.
Shopify. I mean, you guys are the experts on Shopify. Set up a Shopify account, set your product page up, create a funnel, and then figure out
Where would you create the funnel? Because you use a lot.
On Shopify, yeah. Okay. But a tool like Klaviyo, Klaviyo is probably the best in building funnels on Shopify. And I guess really in the beginning, if you have a limited budget, figuring out where the customers are. Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram?
Who your customer is probably too. You have to be real specific, especially if you're starting that.
If you don't have a budget to spend on like Facebook ads, let's say, where can you find these existing customers and manually try to reach out to them and get sales, right? Are they hanging out in Facebook groups and Reddit groups? I mean, there's so many online communities right now, especially because of COVID. People are hanging out in groups online. You can find them. It's tedious and probably not scalable, right? But those are things that you need to do in the beginning is find out where they are, start manually talking to them, send them Facebook messages, emails, DMs, whatever you need to do.
You have to collect data so you can retarget, right?
What's the best, I guess, website builder to build these landing pages? I mean, you're familiar with Wix. You're familiar with, you're saying Shopify. I mean, I don't know if it's it.
If it's
also, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if it's e-commerce, definitely Shopify. I mean, Wix has its own e-commerce built-in integration. I wouldn't recommend it as much. WordPress is a good one, but for somebody that's trying to build it on their own, I wouldn't recommend it. For ease of use, Shopify does everything.
And you need to be careful too, especially as your new business. A lot of these other platforms, other than Shopify, if you really grow and expand, they don't have the capabilities that Shopify does. So we always talk about when you build the infrastructure, make sure you build it like you're going to be $1 billion business one day. And I think Shopify, from all that we've done and the research we've done and what you've seen, is probably the best platform for that.
Yep.
You could even, hack it through MailChimp. Like I said, you can have a free account for up to 2,000 contacts and have a landing page builder. The only thing is I don't know if the landing page builder through MailChimp has e-commerce integration. So you might have to find out what tool to integrate into that. But, for Shopify for $30 a month, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
All right, perfect. Okay, so now let's go into your everyday consumers selling Pokeballs, getting people to buy gift cards and so forth. I've seen a lot of tactics that you used. Talk about some of the strategies that, let's say, if you want to drive sales that day, what has worked for you?
So just a little background on what we do in terms of our retail customers. Our retail customers come in our store. They buy one of our products, an acai bowl, a wrap, a smoothie. We try to get them onto our loyalty platform. Okay, we have a Sweetberry app. You can download the app to get onto our loyalty platform, or you can just give your phone number. You don't need the app. We want to think about what that funnel looks like. And this is something that we've been tweaking and making better for almost 3 years now. It's a constant, maintenance and creating more sequences and, making sure that you're keeping the customers engaged.
Yeah.
So when we think about this funnel, the question is, how do we get a brand new customer to become a customer, to go into become a loyalty customer, to then download the app, right? So those are already 4 different goals right there. They're going down this funnel. Once they download the app, what are the things that we want them to do as a customer? And any type of probably software or startup or app company is doing the same thing, right? It's one thing just to get a user to sign up, but if they're not doing anything, it doesn't matter, right? So we're thinking about the different goals that the customer is going to do. a lot of customers will complete their first transaction, right? So we can get them to download the app. We might give a promo like, download the app, get your first $5 for free, or get a free bowl, or get a free product. That usually works. They buy their first product, and if they don't do anything after that, what's the point, right? You have to keep them engaged. So what's the goal after that? So we get them to purchase, we get them to sign up in our loyalty platform, we get them to download the app, we get them to buy one product. Now we get them to order online. We have online ordering, and we want them to all do that because it collects the data now. We have the information. We know what our customers like. We can put them in segments like, this person only eats the OG acai bowl. They've ordered it 5 times in the past 60 days.
So that's what's important about getting to the loyalty program. You keep basically gathering their data, what they like, what they don't. You could start targeting them. So now you have the ability now to segment your audience, right? You have them in your app. You could now personalize things that they like. Like if you want to send out a blast, hey, we got your favorite bowl lined up, or if you want to send maybe a birthday like free bowl, that they like. So they sell, I mean, we said this before, selling acai bowls, but segmenting your audience and giving them the creative, the message that they like can increase your ROI a lot better because you're giving something they want, not something just random.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the personalization is key, and it's a lot of manual work looking at the data, right? So like I can customize and say, all right, we have different categories, right? So we have poke bowls, we have acai bowls, we have smoothies, wraps, salads. So I can categorize people that love only acai bowls, people that love only poke bowls, people that love only wraps. If they love only acai bowls, we're only showing them ads, promos, and creatives that have acai bowls inside the content, obviously, right? But also, we want them to try our other products, right? So we can see their entire chain in history and see that they've never tried a poke bowl. They probably don't even know that we have it, right? And what if we can get them to transition from not just acai, but by poke, and they can be an even bigger or high-ticket item customer. But not only that, what's really important for us in terms of like what our goals are is frequency, right? So we have a ton
Frequency in terms of what? Using the app or using the...
Both. So not just using the app, but coming back and purchasing. So that's really important in a restaurant. You want your customer to come back. For us, it's once a month. So our average ticket customer probably spends $15 as an average transaction. It might be a little bit more now, like 16 or 17, right? But we can see in a lot of the data, majority of the customers are only coming in for that first month, then there's a drop-off, right? So we, as the marketing team, we have to look at that and say, how do we increase that frequency? How do we get that customer to convert to a second visit and a second transaction in the second month or the third month? The one piece of data that we found, which was really interesting, was that if we can get a customer to buy 3 times in the first 30 days, they become a frequent customer. And then they would start purchasing almost every month, right? So a lot of our sequences and our marketing, which is now automated, which we spend hours and hours of times in building like these automated flows, is once you sign up as a loyalty customer, we're going to do everything we can to try to get you to not just purchase once, but like 3 times in the first 30 days.
And that's really funny you mentioned. I remember hearing something from John Tapper about basically the 3 process funnel. Basically, if you can get a person into your store 3 times, you basically convert them into a lifetime customer 80% of the time. So you get them to come in once, then the chance of them coming in is 20%. You get them to come in twice, I think it was maybe 25 to 30%. But if you get them in that 3rd time, and this goes for any business, not just restaurants, ordering on the e-commerce business, if you get them in that 3rd time or they place that 3rd order, they are a loyal customer at 80% of the time. And that's kind of very similar to how you seemed like it says, so you set up your funnel.
What's really cool and interesting now is because how COVID has affected the restaurant industry. We can only have 25% indoor dining. Some states are different. Now everything has transitioned to basically online pickup and delivery. Thankfully, we were prepared for that. Our software provider, Tap Mango, literally transitioned to our online ordering platform and then built in delivery in like April. So the timing couldn't have been better. We were well prepared and set up for this entire transition where now everybody is ordering online for pickup and delivery. So think about this. Before, as a restaurant, you had to get somebody to leave their house and come to your house, come to your restaurant or your store to place an order. That's a big, that's a hard thing to do. That's why people always say restaurant marketing is tough. That's a hard thing to do. Now it's a lot easier because you have this ease of use. You can literally press a button or press reorder and the food can come to your house. So now we have online delivery. We have online ordering for pickup. It gets a little bit easier. We're in the game of educating our customers and saying, hey, you can order online very easily. You can set up your profile. And now we have delivery. Delivery's $5. It's a no-brainer. if you order from us, it's a lot cheaper than ordering from, let's say, an Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub. Plus, you get points. Plus, you get free rewards, right? So now we're in the game of like, again, when I talk about going through this funnel, new customer comes in, they download our app, they make that first purchase, right? We also want them to do online orders. Then we want them to do delivery too. So once we get them in delivery, that's like probably the last step of the funnel. That's like the best thing, because now when we're marketing, it's easier to get food to them. They don't have to leave their house. When you're doing online ordering for pickup, it's a little bit harder because they have to commit to coming to the store to pick it up.
Especially nowadays, they're probably not in the areas being around the restaurants because everything is shut down other than maybe supermarkets. A lot of the locations probably had stores that are just, they're not frequenting those stores, so they're probably not coming to your store as well.
Correct.
What's the best strategy that you've seen that worked that helped you basically increase your ROI, basically increase your customers' lifetime value that may have seemed like you took a hit initially? Like, have you seen something that you've done in the past that you're like, all right, I'm going to do this?
Yeah. I don't mean to cut you off, but in the beginning, we used to do a lot of promos and free giveaways. Free bowl or $5 off. I mean, we have so many customers in our loyalty platforms. I think there's like 78,000 now.
Whew. 78,000 customers in the, wow.
Yeah. So early on, we would send out like maybe a buy one, get one, or like $5 bowls. And we didn't really segment it by store. So we just blasted out to everybody, and then we get calls from the store saying, what the hell, what's going on? Like, all these kids are coming in, there's lines, you got to prepare us. But then you also have to analyze, like, what does that do for you, right? So, we're going to lose, right? So if we're giving a bowl for $5 and we sell for 10, we're going to lose money on that, right? But is that customer spending more money as well? Thankfully, our tool tells us if, let's say we give away a free bowl, right? It's going to tell us if they spent additional money on top. So they call it like a revenue boost or something. So that kind of like helps us analyze if there is an ROI and if we're making a return. Now, we try to focus less on promos and giveaways and more just content. Just putting content out there, educating them, telling them what products that we offer. We have online ordering, pickup, and delivery. It works just as well.
So how do people get points? Yeah. I mean, I know I've seen like you're setting up with Shrink Kush.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing nowadays, especially with e-commerce brands, and especially a lot of our audience. They're wondering, should I be setting up a loyalty program? Even some of the big players.
Like, do they get points to?
What have you seen, I guess, from your loyalty program, and how did you set it up, and has it been successful?
Yeah, absolutely. I think points and loyalty is important. Every purchase they make, they gain points, right? Yeah. And then as they gain points, they can redeem a free reward or free item, like a free smoothie, a free bowl, and our system will tell us how many people are doing this and how many people have reached that free bowl. And again, that's part of one of our goals is to get those customers to go down that funnel and then start purchasing enough to where they can start redeeming free items. And we're trying to constantly make that better. I can admit that I copied Starbucks.
It's the best way of doing it.
Yeah, that's what we always preach.
They have the best one in the game. I mean, people have written case studies about Starbucks' loyalty system, and they recently just changed it. So I've studied it. I've tried to replicate it as much as I can.
I'm a sucker for it, so
yeah.
They got me.
Look, the strategy is those guys are definitely doing something right. So if we can copy a lot of their strategies, we know it's going to work, and it has been working.
And that also, I'm assuming, like, if you have someone coming off the streets for the first time, and then you get them to sign up for the loyalty program, you probably they have to give some type of data, which then you can keep their name, number, birth, like things like that. I would think that's helpful because then you can retarget with maybe SMS messages or emails.
When they sign up, they're giving us their name, their email, their date of birth, not the year, just the month and the date, and their phone number, right? So when we market back to our customers, there's three methods. There's email, okay? There's text message, which they need to opt in. And then if they download the app, there's push notifications, which I think are very, very effective. In my opinion, the order of effectiveness is always SMS, okay? Then push notifications, okay? If they have it turned on their app, they have to turn on allow messages, and then email, right? But we have pretty good open rates. Our text message rates are like 50% or higher. Email's probably about 13%. Push notification, I don't think it tells us the open rates, but you also have to like understand the nuances of all of it, right? With SMSs, if you're texting your customer all the time, you're gonna annoy them. It's very invasive, right? They'll block you at some point. That's the other thing. As you're sending these messages out, you don't want to be too spammy to the point where like you can't contact them anymore. So you have to be very careful.
Do you do like based on because your audience is in different states, right? Do you do based on weather? Like say, hey, it's rainy at I don't know one of your locations, West Virginia, like
Yeah,
rainy.
you guys
let's
are
say-
all over the place. You're in Florida, North Carolina, you're in Pennsylvania, you're in
South
New
Carolina,
Jersey,
Virginia.
South Carolina, Virginia, and Chicago, I believe.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's
Absolutely. So we do it on weather, and those are my favorite ones. So like if it snows or if it rains, I mean we're always blasting a delivery content to you. Hey, you know it's a snowy day out, it's raining out, get delivery right to your house. You know.
And how's the
So
open rate on that when you're doing personalization?
when we're doing personalization, it's probably about the same thing. It's about 10 to 15%. Sometimes we get as high as 20%. You know. So I mean you can do the math. If you're looking at the data. And you know that your open rate is like, let's say 10%, and you're sending out to 80,000 customers, you know 8,000 people will open up, right? From there, you can look at the data of what the click-through is. Let's say the click-through is another 10% of that. So 800 people will click through to the website in order, right? And then you look at the last piece of that funnel, that data, and that could be, let's say, another 50% of that. So 400 people will complete a transaction at $15 an average value, which you're probably better at math than I am. What is that?
I think that's 9,000. I think
6,000?
for the yeah.
Yeah. So I know that sending out that email blast will generate X amount of dollars, right? So for those of you that have the luxury of having a lot of customers at home or any type of retail business where, you know, ours is a little bit different. It's a restaurant, right? We're selling low ticket items at 10 to 15 bucks, but it's not like, you know, you're going on a checkout page and they're shipping it to you, which essentially we kind of are now with delivery. So if we know how effective our marketing is, we can kind of plan that out and even like forecast with the sales that it's going to generate.
Yeah. And have you noticed, I guess we talk about all the time, the advertising, trying different things. I mean, I would think with food, like doing a push notification or email that actually has a picture, people have emotions when it comes to food. We're all emotionally attached to sugar, to different foods and whatnot. I know from CBD, that's why we went with Sugar and Kush. It involves food because people have emotional connections to food. Have you noticed that your branding or your campaigns, your SMSs that use pictures, do they perform better?
Yeah. I probably haven't done an actual split A/B test between like a pure, you know, text versus a picture and a text. If I were to estimate, I mean, 1,000% with the pictures, it's going to perform better. But we spend a lot of time. I mean, we completely rebuilt our email templates. If you get them, I mean, they're gorgeous. They're beautiful. They're up there with some of the, you know, the top brands. We always have a creative in there. Sometimes we'll throw like an animated Jiffy as well too. What works really well too is emojis. You know, so that I can tell you that I've tested. Where in the subject of the email, we'll throw an emoji in there. Right, it works and it converts a lot better.
We talk about that all the time.
Yep.
We put the emojis inside the emails. It sounds silly, and I write the copy. The other thing that I've been really dabbling in and focusing on now is better copy and learning copy myself. It's something that I want to learn for a long time, and I just didn't have like, you know, the time or resource and bandwidth. But I've been investing time into studying copy, reading copy books. There's a gentleman that's actually a friend of mine. His name is Chris Orzakowski. He wrote a book called Make It Rain, something like that, or Rainmakers. Really good on understanding how to write copy that will convert customers. So now as I'm writing a lot of these one-off email campaigns, and what I would tell people at home is set up your automated email sequences, right? So that automation is always going off and emailing your customers, but also create relevant content, email content, at least once or twice a week, and send those emails out as well. So when I'm doing that, you know, I'm trying to incorporate a lot of stuff that I've learned in terms of like copy and how to convert into that. So I think that email is like really, really underrated. You know, even though we all get bombarded, everybody gets bombarded with email. It's still probably one of the most efficient channels out there.
Awesome. All right. Any more questions?
I don't know. I think that's all I have for right now.
Yeah, I think that's it.
More information than I can imagine.
Before we end the episode, a little just different. Best book you recommend if you want to start a business?
4-Hour Work Week. Yeah, that. Yeah. Did you guys recommend that before? Is that what you're supposed
No,
to?
I don't think we have.
No, I never read it.
That book changed my life.
I think I always talk about Outliers. I love Outliers.
Outliers is great. By
It's
Malcolm, right?
my favorite. Yeah.
Was it Malcolm?
Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah.
Yep.
Favorite quote?
Steve Jobs. His quote is, oh my God, I don't even know the quote. Stay humble, stay foolish. What is it?
Oh, yes, I've heard of it.
Okay. Favorite movie you could recommend to an entrepreneur? Or a documentary?
Movie. Founder's really good about the story of McDonald's. Really cool. Yeah.
About the real estate.
Yeah. All right.
That's crazy. And then last one, if you can give one tip to all the entrepreneurs out there watching this, what would be your tip to, no matter what it would be, from all the experiences? I mean, you've now done this for 5 years. You built a brand 2020. Sweetberry was FSR top 30 fast casual restaurant, top franchise of the year in 2020 as well. So you're doing something right. I mean, you've 20 locations almost in how many years? 2-3 years?
3 years, yeah.
Yeah. So that's absurd. That's never been heard of. So what would be one tip that you've learned from just building this whole out? I'm sure it was long nights and early mornings and whatnot, but what would be your advice?
I think that, it's funny because we talk about like all this automation that's, shortcuts and basically give yourself less work. You automate, you have bots do your work, but that's actually never the case. So the one advice I always give people is just work ethic. It's just putting the work in, time and work in. That's something that'll never change. Even though the world changes, technology changes, it makes stuff easier for us. Work ethic is always going to trump everything else.
Yeah, and that's why we always say, everyone, if you don't love what you do, you'll never be able to fucking launch a successful business, because you are grinding in it. You do it every day. You need to love it.
Love it. Guys, this was episode 32. I hope you liked it. I hope you liked Desi's story and how he built his sales infrastructure with a lot of experience. He also runs multiple e-commerce stores, so we didn't want to get into too deep on that. But we wanted to do this. This is our first interview. It was really exciting.
Yep.
We want to do this more often. We want to get more entrepreneurs in here to help you guys, build successful businesses.
Exactly. So if you see this and you think you might be a good candidate, reach out to us. We have a couple more lined up, but we're always willing to help other people and talk and share ideas and the strategies to help grow your business.
Desi, where can people find you if they need to contact you and harass you?
You guys can email me. My work email is desi@sweetberrybowls.com. You can hit me up on Instagram or Twitter at Desi Saran, DESISARAN.
So anyone could just hit you up? Do you accept mentors or anything?
I accept all types of people. I don't discriminate.
All right. Awesome. Guys, if you guys liked this episode, if you're listening to this on iTunes, Spotify, give us a 5-star rating if you liked it. If you have any questions, if you're watching this on YouTube, you could leave a question in the comments. We'll reach out back to you, answer your questions, or you could tweet us at @mscopac or @Sean_Azari. Again, hope you liked it, and we'll see you next
Thanks, Desi.
week. Peace. Thank you, Desi. Peace.